I wasn't really planning to speak, but I thank you for this opportunity. I will have to sympathize with the professor from Georgia Tech about the history repeating itself, because I've spoken here before, and in fact, many years ago, I was on the staff of the Consumers Utility Council, which used to represent consumers and supplemented the excellent work of the Public Service Commission staff in a way that I think we could still use today. But it was defunded and eliminated some years ago, a few years ago. I like to quote my husband's bumper sticker, which says, "I can't believe I'm still protesting this mess," though it actually is rather more strongly worded. And I learned a lot. I was a writer, basically a researcher. I'm not a lawyer or a technician. When I worked for the Consumers Utility Council, and I went on to work in Washington in an organization that was trying with very, very small resources to counter the enormous multi-million public relations blitz that Southern Company led the industry to implement in the years immediately following 3 Mile Island. So I'm somewhat familiar with how they communicate very effectively with their resources that overwhelm the rest of us. And I'm not going to repeat the wonderful things that many of the preceding speakers have already said that I agree with. It's nice that you indulge us this one day, at our other hearings. But I'll just try to make a couple of small points. The enormous the subsidies of the nuclear industry are really quite amazing if you look into them. I know the Public Service Commission has no control over the federal policies, but and I'd just like to mention, the loan guarantees that the Obama administration supported, actually, the push by the Bush administration, and then and now the current one to apparently to revive nuclear power as an option after it had been discredited for so long in the wake of public revulsion after 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl and now Fukushima. Also, the fact that the insurance companies, this is very telling, have limited liability in the case of a disaster. I don't think people understand that in this country. If there were terrible costs from something like Fukushima here, we would pay most of it. That's called externalizing the profits. Somebody earlier called it socializing the profits. I think that's too good a word. I wish it was a matter of social control. The public will pay enormously if there's a real problem here, and there's no reason why our chances are pretty good. The whole nuclear industry is pretty precarious. There are cracks in pipes all over the country. There are a lot of aging plants that are, a lot of terrible temporary waste deposits and so on that are going to be causing us real trouble in the near future. And if I don't have grandchildren, but I think those of you who do should start compiling some talking points for how you're going to explain all this when it hits them, if you're still around. I probably won't be. I'll be off the hook. But I do care about your grandchildren and everybody's and children, as well as my own safety. If the first speaker seemed to imply states' rights might solve some of the problems with the cost overruns, perhaps, and the delays, I'm not sure if that was his agenda. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think that if we ignored the federal regulations, we should also ignore the subsidies. And the whole thing would come down like a house of cards, because no one would insure it, nobody would invest in it. So that's, and every dollar in nuclear power is a dollar wasted that could have been put into more conservation and sustainable, safe energy. Thank you.